Oh. Sarvadharmastapakatvam sarvadharmaswarupakaha acharyanam mahacharyo Ramakrishnaaya te namaha. O establisher of all the faiths, embodiment of all the religions, the greatest teacher among all the teachers, O Sri Ramakrishna, my salutations to you. Namaste, pranam. Sri Ramakrishna reassuring those who were living as householders, telling them that having realized God with the grace of the Guru, having realized God, one can very well live the worldly life, remaining as a Jivan Mukta, remaining as a detached spirit. Don't get attached to the things worldly, don't get attracted by the worldly temptations. Rather, remain like a Jivan Mukta. You are free from all those attachments. You free yourself from all those attractions, and then you lead your life as a Jivan Mukta as a householder. When Sri Ramakrishna was talking about, he had given that told that story that by pretense that fisherman who wanted to steal fish from the rich man's garden, the lake in that rich man's garden, and when he was about to be caught, he just ran. He smeared ashes on his body and sat in a posture of meditating the sadhu. The people, they were searching for the thief, and instead they found, oh, this sadhu is sitting in our garden house in our estate, deeply meditating, so they didn't disturb him at all. Next morning, villagers, they heard of this sadhu who was doing such a great meditation, sitting on the tree with the eyes closed, smeared with ash, and they all started gathering around him, started offering him fruits, flowers, sweets. Some even offered coins, the gold coins, silver coins, copper coins. And suddenly, this fisherman who was to become a thief and who had pretended to become a holy man, he started thinking, if taking up the disguise of a holy man, if I'm getting all these things, what will happen if I really become a sadhu? If I become a real sadhu, I'm sure I will have God attainment. And that person, he became a sadhu. So Sri Ramakrishna says, even if a mere pretense of religion, of religious life can bring the spiritual awakening in that person, just imagine what will happen if one takes up real sadhana. Sadhana in its true spirit. The austerities, the spiritual disciplines, when one starts following, what great transformation will happen in that person. And then Sri Ramakrishna says, by the grace of the Guru, one will realize God, one will have this realization that God alone is real and all this world is unreal. And so Sri Ramakrishna has given that assurance to the doubting householder who had this doubt. If Sri Ramakrishna is telling us that the world is unreal, is it that we have to renounce this whole world? Is that all the householders there to renounce the world? And then Sri Ramakrishna says, not at all. First, realize this truth. Realize, have the God realization, and then remain in the world as a Jivan Mukta and keep on doing your duties. So that was Sri Ramakrishna's teaching on that particular day. Now let us slightly get fast forward. Let us come to June 10th, 1883. Again, the setting is Sri Ramakrishna's room in Dakshineshwar. Again, it is a Sunday, and a lot of people have come. A lot of people from nearby places of Calcutta. Some devotees have come from Manirampur. Some devotees have come from Belgharia. And these devotees from Manirampur, they have a question to ask to Sri Ramakrishna. So this the group of devotees, they ask the question, how to realize God? And who else but Sri Ramakrishna to give a perfect answer to this question of how to realize God? And this also has some kind of a relation with what we learned from Sri Ramakrishna's teaching in the previous learning. How to realize God? Now Sri Ramakrishna's reply. You must practice spiritual discipline a little. Practice spiritual discipline. Get under the fold of a guru. Guru will come to you and start teaching you the spiritual disciplines. And Sri Ramakrishna says, it will not do simply to say that milk contains butter. You must let the milk set into curd and then churn it. Only then you will get butter from it. Simply saying there is God, you are not going to get God. If you see a container containing milk and if we keep on just saying, oh, there is a butter in it, there is butter in it, is it that we are going to get butter out of it just like that? We have to do some process. We have to set the milk to curd. We have to put that culture in milk. Set it aside, undisturbed, unshaken. Let it set into curd. And once it sets into curd, still, it is not that we start getting butter just like that. We have to churn it. We have to make an effort. We have to do something to get butter out of that curd. We have to churn it. And then, after a whole lot of churning, then the butter will float on top of the buttermilk which remains underneath. So Sri Ramakrishna says, it is not, it won't do simply by saying there is a butter in milk, there is butter in milk, there is butter in milk. You have to do something. You have to make efforts. In the same way, it is not by simply saying there is God, there is God, there is God, you will attain to God. You have to undergo spiritual disciplines. You have to undergo the sadhana. You have to undergo the chanting of the name. You have to undergo singing of the glories of the God. And then Sri Ramakrishna says, spiritual aspirants must go into solitude once in a while, now and then. That is like when we have to set milk into curds, we keep it at an undisturbed place. That milk is not to be shaken. If you keep on shaking that milk which you have added the culture and keep on shaking, it won't set into curds. It has to be at totally undisturbed place. It has to be in solitude. And Sri Ramakrishna gives the same advice to householders that once in a while you get into solitude. You get into solitude and then meditate upon God. You get into solitude now and then. After acquiring love of God in solitude, they may live in the world. Again, this is a continuation of what Sri Ramakrishna had told the householder, that you realize God and then you live in the world as a Jivan Mukta. Here again, Sri Ramakrishna is repeating the same advice to the devotees of Manirampur, that after acquiring love of God in solitude, when you are undisturbed, when you are free from the chaos of the world, when you are free from the disturbance of the worldly noise, when it is just you and your thought of God, when you and just your meditation upon God, the love of God will ignite in your heart. And once that love of God is ignited, after acquiring that love of God in solitude, they may live in the world then. If one is wearing a pair of shoes, one can easily walk over thorns. So what, there are, the sharp thorns on the path. I have put on nice shoes. I am not going to be pricked by those thorns. I am not going to be, I'm not going to be get pricked by those thorns. They are not going to make any wounds in my feet. I am wearing the shoes. I am wearing the shoes of love of God. So all these thorns on the worldly path, they are not going to trouble me at all. It is not that every now and then, oh, this thorn has pricked me, I have to take out the thorn. I don't have to get into all those troubles. I have put on the shoes. Good quality shoes, maybe Adidas or Reebok. And no thorn will disturb me. No thorn will harm me in any way. With that name of God, with that love of God that we get generated in our heart, with that love of heart that gets ignited in our heart, when we meditate in solitude, when we call upon God in solitude. Why solitude? Because there is no worldly noise then. It is only me and my mother. It is only the child and the mother. It is only the servant and the master. It is only the devotee and the deity. Only that is the presence. There is no hindrance. There is no disturbance. There is no alien thing there in the solitude. It is just me and my mother. So put on the shoe and walk on the path. Don't get worried about thorns. They will be there. They will be there, but shoes will protect you. That love of God will protect the householders from getting trampled by the attachments, the attractions of this world. And then Sri Ramakrishna says that the most important thing is faith. One must have faith. I have taken the name of God. How can all these worldly attractions tempt me? I am the child of mother. How these worldly attractions can allure me anymore? They are not going to tempt me. They are not going to distract me from my path of going to my mother's lap. Those may be there. All those attractions, all those the enjoyments, the pleasures, they may be there. But I'm not going to be disturbed by them, for I have taken the name of my mother. And that name is going to protect me. That name is going to relieve me of any danger that these attractions are going to create for me. For that, one most important thing Sri Ramakrishna says on this path of spirituality is the faith. And then Sri Ramakrishna quotes a few lines. He says, as is man's meditation, so is his feeling of love. As deep is the meditation, so deep is the meaning. If meditation is superfluous, even the feeling of love becomes superfluous. If the meditation is just ordinary, even the feeling of love is ordinary. But if it is deep, if the meditation is deep, even the feeling of love becomes deep. As is a man's meditation, so is his feeling of love. As is a man's feeling of love, so is his gain. It is directly proportional. How deep is our meditation? That much deep would be our love for God. Whatever, howsoever deep is our love for God, that much deep will be our gain. That much strong will be our gain. So these are all directly proportional, the meditation, the feeling of love, and the gains on this spiritual path. And faith is the root of all. If there is no faith, then the meditation, the love, the gain, everything has got no value at all. Faith is like that number one. You put so many zeros, they don't have any value. You have meditation, you have love, and all these things are there. But if they are not based on the strongest base of faith, they have no meaning. If there is no faith, meditation won't be there. If there is no meditation, love for God won't be there. If love of God is not there, there won't be any spiritual gain at all. So Sri Ramakrishna says, if one has faith, one has nothing to fear. So have that strong faith. Yes, my mother is my protector. My mother is going to lead me by her hand. Have that strong faith. With that faith, you sit for meditation. The meditation will be deep. If the faith is strong, the meditation will be strong. If meditation is strong, the love for God will be much more stronger. And if the love for God is much more stronger, the gains will be mightily stronger. That is what Sri Ramakrishna said. But all this to happen, to gain that deep meditation, to get that strong love, and to get that mightily strong gain on the spiritual path, one must have a strong faith, a dedicated faith, the unselfish faith. If one has faith, one has nothing to fear. That is Sri Ramakrishna's teaching to these devotees from Manirampur, and simple advice that start spiritual practice. Without spiritual practice, one can never realize God. One cannot even come near God. Like, to see the butter in the milk, we have to set it into the curd, then churn it, and then we see the butter, and then we enjoy that butter. So, start the spiritual disciplines and get into solitude now and then, Sri Ramakrishna says. Get into solitude to develop that love, for God through meditation. And before that, have strong faith, have the deep faith in your chosen ideal, and then nothing is going to stop you. Om Namah Shri Bhagavate Ramakrishnaaya. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Jai Thakur, Jai Ma, Jai Swamiji.